Spencer, so great seeing you in my living room. All
Same
right,
here. Same here. It's crazy that we can both be in each other's living rooms at the same time.
yeah, for sure, man. Actually, where are you writing this whole thing out?
So I guess about a few days to a week before the real like stay-at-home orders came through, I had been doing a little bit of research, seeing kind of what was going on in the other countries, and I decided that I wanted to get a little bit of an aerial view of New York. I'm from New York, born and raised. I've been living in Brooklyn for now it's almost 10 years, and I decided to hop out. I'm in Denver right now with my girlfriend. We've been doing like long distance for a little while, and she was about to do a move to New York. We're still trying to figure that out, but right now Denver is a little bit more comfortable.
Okay, good deal. Well, let's take a quick step back. Why don't you introduce yourself and what you're all about, what you do professionally?
Sure. My name is Spencer Kohn. I am the owner of SK Digital and SK Studio. So actually, let me start that over because I don't really call it SK Digital.
Well, let me just ask it to you again. I'm going to try to like go straight through. All right, so let's take a step back. Why don't you introduce yourself and let us know what you are all about?
Perfect. So my name is Spencer Kohn. I'm the owner of SK Studio, a small content and digital marketing agency. We work with different brands in all different categories, beauty, fashion, music, to both create the content and promote online through different strategies. My background is in photography and magazines, and this is my second agency.
Okay, good deal. And so we were just talking before we went on that you're writing this whole thing out in in Denver. So when did you decide to go out that way?
So I guess, what is it? Tomorrow will be officially 1 month in Denver. I didn't really have, much of a choice of where to go. I knew that I wanted to be outside of New York City, just because I wanted to have access to resources, not struggle to, get the virus. And Denver was my best option. My parents are immune compromised. I have an older grandpa, so I can visit him. And my younger brother lives with roommates. So I, luckily am dating someone who's in Denver.
Okay.
And we were actually planning to move to New York in May together. So she was planning to come out here, or I guess go out to New York and kind of start a New York life. So we're now trying to figure that out, but I know I'm getting back ASAP.
Yeah, I hear that. So what's the new current day-to-day looking like for you?
It's kind of funny because, most people assume that I either sleep in normally or have this kind of on and off schedule. The truth is I actually am much more disciplined than most people who are in my place. And so outside of kind of isolation life, I normally wake up at like 7 a.m., work until like 7 p.m. every day, just kind of meetings, grinding, shoots. And it's kind of funny because this is the first time that this isolation period, because we've been really properly isolating, has been the first time that I've actually stayed in the same place for, more than a week straight in years. I've been taking the time to sleep in, catch up on about 10 years of sleep because, I don't really have a lot going on. I have also the studio, pre-K. So that's, right now pre-K is a rental studio in Brooklyn, and we don't have any bookings, haven't had any bookings for the past month. So I'm doing a lot of rent negotiating, trying to get discounts on rent, and overall just right now learning new things, reading, kind of planning for when I can get back to work.
Have you introduced any new kind of like life hacks or hobbies and tips, tricks, anything that you want to share?
Yeah, the first one, which I never knew was so important, is 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it all the time, right? But it's one thing to actually be able to get the the space to actually take advantage of it?
Mm-hmm. I haven't been focusing on, I haven't been focused on being super productive thus far. We've been kind of waiting things out. Nobody that I know is working. Most people that I know are getting laid off or fired because of the current economic situation. I really don't know anyone that isn't affected by this whole situation. So I'm just kind of holding off with my clients that are kind of sustaining me and waiting for a more appropriate time to spring into action. I think that time is coming in the next week or two.
I mean, look, you have I guess you have a multifaceted business, right? So you have revenue streams coming in from different opportunities, whether it's you know, working as a photographer, renting your studio. You mentioned that you have a content studio, and also consulting. So I'm wondering, like, you touched on it a little bit, but how has the business as an overall been impacted? Is it actually? I'll just say, yeah, let me just stop. How has the business overall been impacted?
Um, I mean, I don't really use this word lightly, but everyone's fucked. um, you know, I like my studio is in a building full of artists in one of the main areas in Brooklyn. And, you know, there are easily 20 to 30 other photo studios in there. We're all in a current building wide email chain. And the group consensus is that nobody can afford rent. Um, Companies and brands that I work with consistently have put everything on freeze. You know, my contacts at the brands are reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I just got laid off because of the current situation." So, really, I mean, I'm fortunate to have enough work to sustain me. Um, you know, there are people who do rely on me to provide them work every month, and I've had to have those difficult conversations with them that, you know, I'm not going to have a lot of work for them for the next few months, and we're all kind of holding out together. So, you know, I'm just trying to be mindful of the situation, figure out what I can do to make it at least comfortable and safe for me to be in, because I don't really have a fallback of, let's say, a lot of money or anyone that I can really ask for money.
Mhm.
So, you know, just trying to stay afloat.
So let me ask you this. I mean, what do you how do you envision kind of the future of content creation because of the impact that we're all being felt right now?
Yeah. So it's it's going to be interesting because the people who are creating content are usually tied to some sort of client. What I'm finding is people who are focused on creating content for themselves are in a really good place, or people who are, I guess, focused on that during this time because, you know, there isn't really much content to be made for brands.
Hmm.
The people who I know that are busy or at least having enough work and being contacted are the ones who are able to work remote or create 3D rendered animations, VFX,
Hmm.
things like that. So, or even like virtual spaces. You know, those are the people in similar fields or kind of the same field that are, you know, being productive during this time. I work with a lot of musicians, and, you know, their bread and butter is touring, playing shows. Um, you know, that in-person experience. I've been following along really, really closely with all of these different kind of live streamed festivals, what other artists are doing. I'm currently working on a project with the Grammy organization, Music Cares, to basically kind of be their campaign to support the music industry. I'm hooking up my clients with Verizon, who are doing like live streams, and also just looking into the live stream space overall. But, you know, the people who are more focused and, I guess, have been working more on the in-person side of content, where you have shoots and you have people who are getting together for these sets or productions, movies, film, they're at a standstill. And really having to figure out where that next dollar is coming from. Nobody knows, even especially like concert photographers, things like that. They don't know what's coming up next.
Are you spearheading any new initiatives as a result of this, or are you finding any gaps that you could fill in the time being, or are you just kind of taking it as it comes?
A little bit of both. Like right now, it's April 20th. Smoke them if you got them.
Happy 420, guys.
Happy 420. But like right now is when I feel comfortable kind of jumping back into work and starting to reach out. People are needing to get busy. Obviously I don't support ending social isolation and these safety measures, but I do think that there are ways that we can get back to work without being in contact with people. So I am actually spearheading, or at least working to move to the forefront of a couple industries. I just mentioned music and live streaming. I'm really looking to get into the live streaming business, not necessarily whatever that means, but in a more focused way, to hold concerts, hold festivals, utilize my connections in the music industry and make those happen. Other than that, even just remote production, it's kind of unheard of to have a clientless set, but there are things that we can do to enhance that experience. Obviously, my studio is hooked up to have everything be streamed to any client. Most people hire us anyways for our expert opinion and our expert kind of point of view. So as long as we can figure out a good balance with that, then people start sending us things to shoot.
What advice would you give to students that have recently graduated, or graduated early, or they were preparing to graduate or currently in school for visual arts, say? They're home right now, a lot of them with their parents and these rooms that they grew up in, and the general path has always been to get internships and try to network with the right folks and have apprentice situations, and it's a lot of in real life type of work that gets you to places in your industry. So what skills or advice would you give to students that are home right now that have been studying and crafting their skills but now have no opportunity to engage around the community?
Sure. I would say number one is to use this time to create and learn. If you're fortunate enough to have access to the internet, have access to some of the tools that you would normally have at school, then take this time to create. It doesn't really take a lot of also like equipment or funding to create. So I'm sure that you were using whatever you had at your disposal beforehand. The second one is to put out as much as possible on social media, work on gaining that following, work on becoming relevant on these newer platforms like Twitch or TikTok. TikTok is still, it's very possible to go viral. Sorry, that was calendar notification. It's still very, very possible to go viral on any of these sites. Focus on who you are, what you want to create, what you want to put out, because right now there are no limits, there are no restrictions. And then third is to learn softwares that make you invaluable. So right now, Photoshop, After Effects, Maya, Blender, Blender's a free 3D rendering software. Unreal is an amazing motion graphics and animation software. And just kind of start reaching out if you feel comfortable doing work in these spaces. Put together a little portfolio and try to get work for people through the internet.
What would be the approach if somebody was just looking to engage with you and develop a relationship to maybe work with you in some capacity later on down the road?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Reach out to the people who you admire. If you're interested in someone's work, just reach out. It's an amazing.
Do you find that you're more accessible now than say like 6 weeks ago, generally?
I would say I actually feel personally less accessible because I've been taking time to be a little bit off social media, but I would say equally accessible in the sense of someone reaches out, I do feel responsibility to answer them because I was in their position once. So no matter what, my response rate is still the same. Just maybe taking a little bit more time to respond.
Fair enough. Spencer, thanks so much for taking the time. I know it's a very unique situation that we're all in, I guess. And the day-to-day kind of differs, and it's not always easy to have the headspace or the bandwidth to participate in stuff like this. So really appreciate that. Wish you all the best luck and well-being for you, your family. Enjoy, I guess, the time that you can over in Denver, and Brooklyn will be waiting for you always.
I'll be back in a few weeks.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you so much, Pav.
Yeah, you got it, brother. I'll talk to you soon.